Hello, it's Tuesday, August 25th, 2026, and I have to say to some of us who have been around for many years in the markets, the situation is getting amusing, boring, and sometimes frightening. We have all these people on social media fighting about the Treasury General account and whether that's QE or something else, and they try to convince each other about one way or the other. And then we have increasing deficit spending, public debt rose to 40 trillion, wars, escalations, and sanctions. So in this video I will briefly talk about trying to sell sand to the Egyptians and about idiosyncratic risk. But before we start, there is no investment advice in this video. Make a note of this. So let's say that you go to the Egyptians and you claim that you can sell them premium desert sand, that it's better than their own sand, and if they buy it, they will enter an era of abundance. What will happen, you think? In the best case, they will kick you out. And in the worst case, they put you in a mental institution. But I believe there is one man who can do this. There is one man on this planet who can sell sand to the Egyptians. And his name is Elon Musk. He has a natural talent, orders of magnitude by anyone else ever lived on this planet, who can convince investors about anything. So he could do that. I am convinced he could do that. The problem with convincing people to invest in projects based on extraordinary claims about the future impact is that these projects, they carry high idiosyncratic risk. Let's say, for example, I remember in the early 1990s, I met Steve Jobs during a graduation, business school graduation at Stanford, Palo Alto. A friend was graduating and I traveled there to celebrate with him and attend the graduation, and then it just happened that Steve Jobs showed up, and about 10 people were there because he knew one of the persons in the group. We started talking about various subjects, and I was intrigued by the pragmatic views of this genius, unparalleled genius. But here we're not talking about an iPhone or something. Here we're talking about something different. On August 24, 2011, Steve Jobs resigned as CEO of Apple. because he was sick, Tim Cook took over, and then later that year he passed away, this genius, a big loss for technology, humanity. Now Apple continued because it was grounded on practical projects, delivering high quality devices to consumers that like them, and Steve Jobs had prepared the ground with genius marketing and planning for that. Now, let's move to space exploration technologies. The IPO recently, then we had the big drop, and now it's consolidating. Now, Elon Musk sold this on the basis of space exploration, planetary colonization, moon bases, data centers in space, catapults on the moon to where robots or Optimus will build data centers and send them into orbit, unlimited energy from the sun. All these are good ideas. The question is whether they are ideas that can be brought to fruition and they are realistic. However, he's a genius. He convinced investors, and also his Tesla company is doing well, and over the time he has promised a few things that didn't materialize, but overall it was a good product, and it is a good product. But here is the thing. There is huge idiosyncratic risk here. Let's, for example, consider a totally hypothetical scenario that Elon Musk one day decides to buy an island or even a small country with his hundreds of billions and retire, because he's basically tired, exhausted, or doesn't want to do this anymore. Hypothetical scenario, I don't think it will ever happen because he seems committed to the projects, but I will consider this hypothetical scenario. Unlike the case of Apple, what will happen to these companies? Who will continue pumping the future prospects of these companies? There is no one, I think, and no one will be able, because no one has the talent and the appeal to investors and to the public that, and he's a genius like Elon Musk, to convince them that in 10 years there will be abundance, there will be no money basically, everyone will have plenty because of robots, AI, and digital automation. So in case, let's say hypothetically, Elon Musk decides to retire far away with all his kids and buy a country or a big island and make it a fortress, then these companies will not be able to sustain the valuations. Basically, prices will collapse because no one else will be able to do it, to be as convincing about the future of these companies. So these companies have a lot of idiosyncratic risk because they depend on one person and his vision of the future and his ability to convey this to the public and to investors and to the media. So this is the story here, and I would like to make sure that I conveyed this message. Now it's time to pump my book, my novel, Albedo Zero or Albedo Zero, it depends how you say this, The Highway to Mars. It's a science fiction novel I wrote because I think the vision of Elon Musk's to colonize Mars is very important, not because we should colonize Mars, but because what we will discover and find along the way. And if we try this, it will be a new chapter in the history of humanity. I strongly believe that. It's not easy. Probably maintaining bases on a moon that is constantly bombarded by the sun and cosmic rays and meteorites for a long period of time is more difficult than landing a few people on Mars and even getting them back. So I think Musk's vision is very important for the future of humanity. I think in a very idealistic sense, big countries should unite, like US, China, India, even Russia, to accomplish this goal and forget about stupid conflicts that risk the future of humanity and focus on projects that have a future for humanity. But we should not forget that anything that depends on the vision of one man carries a lot of idiosyncratic risk at the same time. So thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day.